welcome to AutoSave. My name is Camille Hadaway, and I'm joined with my co-host, Mr. Nick Andrade. How you doing, Nick?
Doing great as always, especially when we get to talk video games for a living.
Talking video games and living. We were actually just talking about living before we started this record.
Yes, we were. I don't know if we want to get into that more.
Okay, we won't get it. All I was saying is I'm happy I'm living.
Yes, that's
and I made it. And now it just is going back to morbid, but like in a good way. And not that I don't, okay. This is why we talk about video games right here on AutoSave, because we don't know what we're talking about like before the episode or
no. It's always the intro.
It's the intro. Yeah. It's the intro that always fails us.
I don't think we properly know how to like intro the show and then also go to the clip from last week.
Yeah.
So we have this weird in between where we like ask a random question and then normally each of us are like taken off guard at what the actual question is. We're working on it. It's 2 years in the making. It's fine. We'll get this.
2 years in the making and 100 and something episodes. Yep. And we're here and we're still doing it. But let's talk about last week's episode because we were playing Spider-Man 2 and we are still playing Spider-Man 2. So let's get a refresher of what happened in the last chapters.
Here. Focus. Think Eiffel Tower.
Au revoir, Felicia.
Thank you.
Show me Lee.
So we got a surprise cameo from Black Cat after we found out that she stole the wand of Watatumba. Watatumba? Oh my gosh,
I went with
Watatumba.
I don't know if that's
it is
right.
Watatumba, I think. I think that's what they say in it, but I want to say Watatumba because it sounds cooler. And we actually find out that she stole this from the Sanctum Sanctorum, which is really cool. Doctor Strange reference, Goddess Giggly, and Miles ends up tracking her down with the help of MJ because they're actually worried for her safety because, of course, we know the hunters are after her as well. We then learn that the reason she stole this ancient artifact is because she's on a quest to protect her girlfriend who's in Paris. Apparently, they got caught up with some very bad people. There's a lot of mystery around that as well. So I'm hoping we learn more about that situation as the game continues. But we had some, like, probably the craziest action scene so far, helping Black Cat or chasing Black Cat and then helping her escape the hunters, where she was able to kind of warp into different areas of New York and different places altogether. And we were right alongside her as she did this. After that, after taking down all of the henchmen, we finally got Black Cat back to Paris. And then we decided to hit up Coney Island so Miles could catch up with some friends. And we actually caught up with quite a few villains that I guess were taking a second life at working at Coney Island. I have no idea. There were a few of them. One of them being Beck, who,
Quentin Beck.
Kind of sketchy. And Beck created a mysterium that Miles decided to go into, and it went haywire. We had a little Dance Revolution DJ type game going on. And then there was some realization that he is still caught up with Lee. So it kind of got Miles in a bad mood, and he decided to leave all of his friends at Coney Island and just have some alone time. But Pete shows up and decides, heck, he's here, he's having fun, and he's gonna do it with MJ and Harry and enjoy the nostalgic fun at being at Coney Island. We had all these little mini games, but then obviously the party was crashed by the hunters who showed up to take away Tombstone, who apparently was working the go-kart section of Coney Island. I love these little random cameos that I would have never called at the beginning of the game. After fighting off some of those enemies and a close call that could have put a lot of attendees at risk, Harry swooped in to rescue the day by holding up the Ferris wheel from falling. And this is when we find out that Harry actually has a suit that helps him heal and also gave him superhero strength. So now we find out Peter's best friend is also a superhero. So that's cool. But, you know, when you find out Nick, what would you do when you found out that your best friend also has superhero powers if you were Spider-Man?
Kill him. Easy.
What?
Just kidding.
No, you do what Peter did, run a bunch of experiments because you're all nerds. And that's what they decide to do. They head back to the Emily May Foundation to hold a bunch of experiments and test out the suit and get to do it with so much fun that they get tired out. And, you know, who stumbles across their experimental mess? Norman Osborn, who doesn't seem quite happy, but we don't quite know why. And that's how the last episode left off. A lot to take in, Nick.
A lot.
There was a lot there.
Black Cat, Portals, Doctor Strange, Sanctum Sanctorum, Wong, and then Harry with the symbiote. So we know, obviously, it's not Eddie Brock, who is a character most known as Venom. Looks like Harry has a symbiote. So what does that mean?
I don't know.
I'm scared. That's it. I'm scared.
I'm scared too, but you know what we got? We got like a lot of mini games in that last section. Before, we've had areas in Spider-Man, like the first game where we played as Miles and we played as MJ, and we're going to be doing a little bit of that too in this episode. So that got me thinking of the question of the day, Nick. Okay, if you could play as any other character, not Miles or Spider-Man, or Peter, in a little mini chapter of the game where you have to do something fun. So whether that is going to Coney Island, who would it be and what would you do?
Well, what definitely would be that mission? Be MJ, I'll tell you that much, because she does have side missions, at least in the first game.
Yeah.
So I don't want that. Should I go with Genki?
Oh.
With his little cool technology? Maybe in his room, being the man in the chair?
What would you do though? You would just like be cleaning. It would be like the house mission. Like you have to check in with Genki and then you take over as Genki and you have to go around his house and do things. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. Like, I don't know, clean hard drives, delete viruses on the computer, just, regular stuff. No, I don't know. Genki would be a good one, but does it have to be a good character? Can it be like a villain?
It could be a villain. It could be anyone in the Spider-Man.
Because I think Uncle Aaron would be cool.
Oh, Uncle Aaron would be cool.
Yeah.
Because you still have that, otherworldly instance,
Yes.
where you could be the Prowler or use some of the Prowler's technology because he is also a reformed villain, right? And that would be cool. Like, even if the, there's these side quests where you find out the old Prowler safes or like hideouts, and then you gather all the tech. If you would play as Uncle Aaron, that would be pretty cool.
That would be really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Good idea.
I'm actually surprised with you, Nick.
Why?
You didn't say the choice that I thought you would say, and that's the choice that I would do. Jonah Jameson.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
That'd be a great one. Bugle.
Yes.
Like, imagine it's like press triangle to yell at employee.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be there for that.
He definitely oversteps HR boundaries, right? So it would be like press insult, hurt people's feelings, make employee cry and run to bathroom. Like, that's how I imagine.
Yeah. And then, like, you have different options for different types of insults. So, like, if you say, like, an insult that's not, like, to the harshness of JJ, it's like, people would be like, hey, are you feeling good? Like that would be the NPC's reactions.
That would be, that I think that'd be the way to go. And it's like a meter of like green to red, which is like, easy insults to like super angry, hard insults, stuff like that. That'd be pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it would be. And then like imagine you have to by the end of the day insult a certain amount of people in order to like have
a quota.
Yeah, a quota of insults. I want to see that happen.
Yeah, and then that would be great because the side mission would be getting whatever story to the front page.
Yeah.
Of that evening article. That would be good.
Yeah, like it's a cutscene. It starts off with MJ handing in her story, and then JJ throws it in the trash, which wouldn't make sense now because they're using laptops. He throws the laptop in the trash, right? And then she walks out, and you take over as JJ. And complete
I
your
do
day
like
at
this
work.
whole how they incorporate technology into the game.
Like a laptop?
No, like I'm saying, like you always think about how Spider-Man is, the newspaper situation with J. Jonah Jameson, and like, you think of the 90s or you think of the 80s and like how it was taking pictures, all that stuff. But the way they incorporate this and like iPhones, not iPhones, I don't want to specifically call out iPhones, but smartphones.
Yes.
And stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. It's the next level. I love it.
I do too. And we're not calling out that brand. Hey, unless they want to sponsor us, we'll call you out anytime.
Totally,
But for now, well, guess what, Nick? We got to dive deeper into Spider-Man 2 as we cover missions 14 to 16, Hunt to Live, Live to Hunt, Funky, and Good Men in Spider-Man 2 right here on AutoSave.
Hey, long night?
Hey, MJ. Harry and I stayed up doing tests on his suit. And we may have had too much pizza. It was really nice.
Just like the good old days. So I gotta know, what's Harry's radioactive spider?
I've never seen anything like this before. It's some kind of exosuit that completely eradicates any trace of his disease. Dr. Connors really outdid himself this time.
That's incredible. And great timing, considering what happened at the park.
Any leads on where they might have taken Tombstone?
Not yet, but if I hear anything, you're my first call.
Oh, you're the best.
Yeah, I know.
So now that Peter knows everything that's going on with Harry, he decides to leave the Emily May Foundation and is in complete awe of like just Harry, and what this is going through. I mean, it must be very interesting because it's like we talked about it last episode, but your friend is now a superhero and it's like the secret that you had to hide from them, but it's like now you're also sharing all this from them. I don't think I would be able to leave their side at this point. Like, you know what I mean? Like this was just like one night of experimenting with Harry's powers. I would have just been like, yeah, I know Norman probably wants me to leave, but I'll just hang out outside until he's ready. Like, what do you do after you find out your friend has superpowers? You just go back to regular being Spider-Man on your own?
Well, it's even the line from the last episode where Harry's like, you didn't want to tell me? You told MJ and the other Spider-Man? Like, what's going on? And I'm just like, uh-oh, this isn't good. So yes, I probably would be by their side at all times.
Yeah.
But Peter, I think you shouldn't have divulged all that information. I don't think you had a choice. However, kind of fearing the situation.
Well, we got to find Tombstone, even in all that fear. And we actually get a call from Black Cat, as you heard there. I just love this like constant jab at Peter Black Cat has, but she has a lead on Tombstone and she just like keeps ripping on Peter, like although one of the Spider-Men couldn't show up. But she also says that they both moved on and tells Peter that Miles is a good kid. He's a good one. So I loved this back and forth because I think this is something we were anticipating, that dynamic between Peter and Black Cat, but we got it here in this episode.
They got to stop talking to each other because every time I think Peter still has feelings for Felicia. Already,
you think so?
Based on the DLC
Yeah.
in the first game, where I'm just saying, I think those feelings never gone away.
I think he is like, I think he definitely doesn't like think about her when she's not around, but
Yes.
I think it's a thing where when she's around, which is probably why Miles went on the mission instead of him. You know, he's still there may be unexplored feelings for her there that maybe he wants to explore when they're around each other, and he knows wouldn't be bad news for his relationship with MJ. But we do find out that Tombstone is most likely being held at an abandoned steel foundry. And when we arrive there, guess what, Nick? A bunch of hunters are there as well. So we have to take them out. But we get a call from Harry, who is very interested on what we're doing. Harry's trying to get a lead on Connors, trying to connect with Connors to see where he is. But then here's, like, I guess Peter fighting enemies in the background, and also Peter says, I gotta finish up here. And then that's all Harry focuses on through the remainder of this quick exchange, this call. Ask Peter if he needs help, wondering where he is. Slow your roll, Harry, because that's what I'm thinking. Like, you just need to
be
calm
a superhero
down.
That's what he wants.
Yeah,
I'm afraid.
Yeah. Are you afraid because, like, he doesn't understand what it means to be a superhero yet? Or are you afraid because you're like, he's overstepping my territory?
I'm afraid at what this is going to turn into. That's all. Like, he's very eager to be a hero. I'm afraid something bad's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true. And Peter is afraid as well because he's very protective. Like, we hear Peter say, like, no, like, I'm good. You do this. Kind of similar to how he does with Miles. Like, even though he's been showing he's really focused on his friendship with Harry and MJ right now, on his relationship with MJ. So he puts Miles off sometimes. We do see him quite often says, no, Miles, like, being Spider-Man isn't all that. Like, you have your life, you got to finish your essay. And we hear him kind of doing the same with Harry in this moment, where he's like, no, I don't need help. You figure out where Dr. Connors is, and then we'll catch up. I don't like, I think it's like a fine line between Peter thinking that, like, as Spider-Man, he's got this, he's done it before, but also he just doesn't want unnecessary, like, his friends to get into unnecessary danger if they don't need to.
Or sounds like he just wants control.
Peter?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, maybe he's like, I'm the top dog Spider-Man, all right? Miles, you better know that. And then Harry, don't get any ideas.
All right, well, we're going to find out if he's going to be the top spider. I was trying to think, like, do spiders have, like, you know, bees have queen bees? What would be the equivalent for spiders? I don't know. That's like a little, like, research we have to do, a little nerding moment.
The thing that came into my head was spider honeys.
Spider honeys? Oh my gosh. Well, he's not the spider honey, but yeah, maybe he wants to be the top spider in New York. We won't know for sure because we still have to handle these hunters that are outside. But once you do, you beat them all up. And this is one of the things that I love about just the Spider-Man games in general. Like, you could go from, like, these, like posts to just doing a takedown or a perch takedown, and it's just, like, so seamless. So I really do try to go through these moments a little stealth, and once you go through it, you find out that you can actually go inside of the foundry through a smokestack, and it calls for a lot more stealth action. Nick, were you very stealth in this moment?
I love me some perch takedowns. There are some
well.
missions where I'd literally try to perch take down everybody, and then the last person I web take down in the slow-mo.
Yeah.
As it come down with web, and I'm like,
yeah,
slow-mo. And then also the new item that we have where we can shoot web lines everywhere, that makes it even more easier.
Yeah, it creates like a little tightrope where you could just zip over or, like, walk over through these webs that you zip, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I do the same, just try to do a bunch of perch takedowns. And when you do it along the web, like, the web gets heavier. And then it's just, like, as you're hanging more enemies on. So it's pretty cool. But you know what? This is a stealth area. and it's very, very simple, I would say. A lot of perch takedown moments, but once you quietly take out these enemies, we get a little surprise.
You guys just can't make it easy. Harry? What are you doing here? Helping you out, Spider-Man. You're welcome, by the way. I was hoping to do this quietly. Is this my fault? You go left, I go right. Let's do this.
Now, Harry ends up showing up when this double-sworded enemy appears and just like knocks him out in the loudest way possible. We spent all that time being stealth, and Harry just ruined that all in just one entrance. Completely ruined it.
This is so cool, though, right? Like, I wasn't expecting Harry to show up at all, and it made me question. Again, I'm trying to like put all the plot pieces together and try to figure out what the story is. It makes me question, thinking, okay, maybe Harry isn't Venom. Maybe he actually is like a pseudo Spider-Man and something else happens. Then I'm starting to question if Peter becomes some sort of Venom. Anyway, I'm just overthinking everything what I'm saying, but I really liked this moment because it subverted my expectation of what we were doing with Harry. So to see him then try to be like Spider-Man's sidekick was completely like it completely threw me off, and it made me like applaud at what Insomniac was doing.
Yeah, it's really cool to have him show up, and we also get a really good look at his suit. What are your thoughts on Harry's suit? Because it kind of gives me CW vibes.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it definitely looks homemade. And especially when you think of what the Emily May Foundation looks like, you would assume that Harry would have had a cooler suit, but it looked like he just 3D printed it 2 hours ago.
Yeah. He was like, I need a cool suit with Peter too. But we are doubling up on the superheroes. So the enemies decide to up the ante with a tank. A tank shows up and a bunch of more enemies just like come out of, it feels like nowhere. Like, where are they coming from? Were they just in the other rooms nearby and just waiting after they heard Harry like crash down from the ceiling?
So many hunters.
So many hunters. But you know what we have to do? We actually have to just try to escape. And the cool part about this sequence is, well, not escape, but try to take them down and continue forward to find Tombstone. But the cool part is, like, as you're fighting, there are moments that Harry and you tag team. And like, it's just really, it looks really cool. So Insomniac knew we wanted the poses, and we got the poses.
They've been doing that well with like
yeah.
Black Cat and Miles, and then this. I hope we see more.
I hope that we see more as well. Take out the tank, and then we could continue forward. As we continue forward, we hear a quick conversation between Harry and Peter about Tombstone. So Harry actually says that they're rescuing a villain, and Pete corrects Harry by saying a reformed villain. This had me thinking, because it's kind of the opposite conversation we heard earlier in the game, where Peter finds out that Dr. Connors is Harry's doctor, where Peter's like, wait, the lizard is your doctor? And then Harry talks about his father believes in giving second chances. So even though his father believes in giving second chances, and obviously it's at the benefit of Harry, I guess Harry still sees villains as villains, even if they are reformed.
Yes, but also we're seeing quite a few reformed villains, and then we're also seeing villains being killed. Are there going to be any villains left in New York? I'm just saying.
Oh my God. I don't know. We'll have to see. Or maybe they could all just be lying about being reformed, and it's all like an inside joke they have, like, let's just act like we're reformed, and Spider-Man may not realize that we're still
a new Sinister Six.
Ooh. Okay, all right. Well, we continue through, and there is more enemies. We got crossbow wielders, riflemen, basic enemies, dual wielding swordsmen. But this person shows up and tries to ruin Harry's fun. But the crossbow ends up hitting again another of those metal tubs, and it starts ringing and just like a horn. It just starts ringing super loud, and Harry's suit starts to mess up a bit and mess with his head. You see it. It looks like he's in pain through this process, and like the suit tries to like, I don't know, it's like leaving him, but then it can't, and it's just like, it looks painful. It looks very painful. So obviously there is this weakness in the suit.
Yeah, that's true. But
well,
whatever.
You know, like it's, I don't know if it's trying to leave, but it's like it just all spikes up, right?
I don't think it's trying to leave. I think it's like attacks.
You think it's trying to attack? No, like when the metal's ringing, like so when the high pitched sounds happening.
Oh yeah.
It looks like it's trying to leave because it all spikes up.
I think it's just trying to run. Like it's like ah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The noise. I don't think it's trying to leave Harry or anything, too, though. I think it's just trying to like, I want to get out of here. It's like my dog. Whenever he sees like a plastic bag in the wind, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't know where he's going. He might get hit by a car if he just runs off, but he needs to get away from that, plastic bag.
Watch out for those plastic bags in Nick's dog. Well, anyways, after that, after the ringing stops, thanks to the help of Spider-Man, the two continue to make their way through.
Starting to feel out of my depth here. Sure we can do this? Of course. We're the Spider Pals. All right. Yeah! Whoa! There's our guy. What's the plan? I think we should get him. What? I'll run a distraction. See if you can break him free. On it. They grow up so fast. I'm gonna break you out of here, okay?
You can't. They rigged this whole thing.
Then I'll de-rig it.
What did I just tell you?
Sorry, it's my first day. Gonna need a hand here! Be right back.
So Harry mentions that he's starting to feel the pressure of these fights. And even though we hear Peter mention that they grow up so fast, I think Harry's growing up a little too fast because he's just jumping the gun on this one. He doesn't even have a plan on how to save Tombstone. He's not even thinking about it. He's just saying, we should get him.
How does he fight so well, too?
I don't know.
Did he learn jujitsu somewhere?
I have no idea.
Did he go to the League of Shadows for 3 years to train?
Wrong universe. Wrong universe there, Nick. You're wrong.
I understand, but still same thought process.
Yeah.
It's like, where did he get his fighting techniques? Did the symbiote just teach him all that? Or is the symbiote just working for him?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm confused.
Yeah.
He still is clumsy. Like, you see that, right? Like,
yes.
He's clumsy, but he still is a pretty good fighter.
Well, yeah, he's a good fighter, but he is definitely clumsy, and I think that goes with the fact that he is so new at this, and like you said, he's really interested in being a superhero, and it's kind of going to his head, so he's not thinking straight. He's just like going based on what he thinks he should do, which, as we heard there, can lead to a little bit of mess, and it does, because instead of listening to Tombstone, when Tombstone says that the cage is rigged, Harry just thinks too quickly, or doesn't think, and rushes into action and actually makes it worse. To now there is magma falling in the cage itself around Tombstone. So it's making the situation a little bit more dire, especially for Tombstone. So the two of them have to actually shut down the furnace that is above the cage and overload the machine, but more bad guys show up, and you have to actually, once you shut down the machine, you have to take out the supports for the furnace. And this is the multitasking that I was not expecting and do not want ever again in this game, because it is so, like, when you're pulling something down, you have to hold R1, L1 and R1, and then wait for it to turn yellow in order for it to pull down. So there's some time that you have to dedicate to that. But it's hard to do that when you have someone with a crossbow trying to aim at you.
That's why you get rid of the guys with the crossbow first. And then it's only the ground troopers. And then you can kind of stun them for a second and then do it. But it is challenging to do everything at once.
Oh, I was feeling the pressure. Like, so much pressure.
Were you standing while playing? Because you were
no,
like,
but
jumping?
I was definitely like, my upper body was leaned forward. Like, oh gosh, gotta do this.
You were in the mode. You were in the try hard mode.
Yeah. Because I'm like, you never know sometimes with these games, even though there's no timer, you never know if like you take too long, if it like just mission fails and you have to start over again. So that's what I was afraid of. But you're right. Just take out the crossbow people and take out all the other henchmen, and then you could take down the supports as well. But when you're pulling down the supports, guess what? It doesn't really work. And Harry decides to jump into the cage itself, like through the machine that's above it. And it ends up collapsing part of the cage. And Harry gets like caught under the rubble. It is such a messy thing. It's like he's so skilled, like you said, in fighting, but then there's all these other reckless moments that it's just like, what are you doing?
You're causing more harm than good, buddy.
More harm, definitely more harm than good. But guess what? We finally get to Tombstone, or somewhat get to Tombstone. Oh, God.
Hold up!
Can you see if we were followed? On it.
Only downside to going straight. The game keeps you in shape.
Glad we got to you in time. Some of the others weren't so lucky.
They couldn't have off me if they tried. Besides, they were waiting for their boss to do the deed.
You have someplace safe to go?
Yeah. They come for me again, I'll be ready. Tell your friend thanks for looking out for me. See you around, Spider.
Looks like they split. We should too. Yeah. Hey, good job back there. Really? I was pretty sure I was just messing everything up. You were, but in the best possible way. What are you... Hold on. Sorry. I'm still figuring out how this thing works. Nice design. What do you mean? Didn't you just... Huh? I guess I did. Would you look at that? I guess we really are spider pals now.
All right, so after a very, very messy save of Tombstone, we find out that he actually is really reformed. So that's nice. So maybe they're not, scheming and putting on fronts, these villains that are reformed. But he goes on his way, and then we end up meeting back with Harry. And there's this moment between the two of them where Peter actually gives Harry a fist bump. And it looks like the suit is trying to like engulf Peter in it. It was like weird. It attached on and Peter didn't know what to do. And Harry obviously was out of control of that in that moment as well.
Well, I mean, there's nothing you can do, right?
Yeah.
Harry has
it's just
no
weird.
control over anything. Why is it weird?
Harry has no control. He has control over the Emily May Foundation, okay, Nick?
Yeah. This treatment isn't really working out too well, Harry.
Yeah, it's interesting that, well, obviously it's the suit that has somewhat of a mind of its own, or like some sort of like animalistic like nature, or something weird is going on with it. But the thing that Pete notices after is the design changing on the suit. So there's this design that actually appears on the suit after this quick exchange between the two of them. And Peter kind of is like, oh, that's cool, like what you did with the suit. And Harry is completely oblivious again, not in control, doesn't even know where this design came from. And we keep hearing him say, like, it kind of does what it wants. The suit kind of does what it wants. It was the suit.
I thought they were under the impression that both of them thought that was there. That was already there.
No, I think it was just like, it's the suit. Like, because Harry's like, oh, it's the suit. Like,
I don't know why Peter would ask that question, because he's just like, where do you think it came from, Pete? What do you think? He just painted it on himself while you were fighting to rescue Tombstone?
Well, I think because Harry explains that the suit kind of just does what he wants. So, like, I think Peter, and maybe this is a little stretch, is thinking that, like, Harry is making the suit do these things because he's thinking it.
So maybe he was just like, man, my 3D printed costume is real shit. And then the symbiote was like, bet, let me make a better one for you.
Or he looked at Spider-Man's suit when they did the fist bump and he was like, man, that's a really cool emblem. I need an emblem like that. And then the suit was like, bet, look at this.
That makes more sense. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But there's another moment that I want to point out when Harry goes away to check on Dr. Connors. Peter's left there and he's just in awe, and he says, incredible. In this moment, he is not referring to his friend Harry, even though he just bigged up Harry and his skills. He is thinking of the suit.
He's still a scientist, though, so I don't blame him, right?
Yeah.
He's fascinated with what this is because he has no idea.
Well, he's very fascinated with what this is. And even throughout the fight, that when we're trying to save Tombstone, you hear these moments of like, wow, Harry's so strong. Like, I know. I kind of felt jealous? Like not fully jealous, because that's not a Pete thing to do, but I think he's very fascinated, and probably his brain's turning like, how do I get that in my suit? Or like, how do I get that technology? Like, how do I incorporate that? Because it is just amazing, Harry's suit and what it's able to do. But, forget about Harry and Peter for a moment, because we're going to actually switch to Miles as we head into the next chapter, which is Funky. And Miles gets a text from his mom, which is always like, all of us, I feel like, oh man, a text from our mom. There's a serious conversation that's going to be happening. But pretty much she's asking for help at her office. And there is a quick exchange between Peter and Miles where we hear Peter explain to Miles that they saved Tombstone. And then we hear Miles say, we? Because remember, even though we're in on it, the only person who's not in Peter's life right now is Miles. About what's happening with Harry, which is like, they're pretty much like business partners. How is it that Miles doesn't know that there may be a third member in their Spider Pile group?
Because Peter is excluding Miles and everything, and the moment his best friend gets in the picture, he's like, screw off, Miles. And I'm not here for it. I'm telling you right now, I don't like the way he's treating Miles.
I don't like it either. And you know what? Unfortunately, I don't think Peter realizes what he's doing, because he also tells Miles, I'll have to call you back. And doesn't really answer Miles's question as to if Harry is a part of the group now, which I feel like that's important to let Miles know, at least to make him feel like he is still appreciated as the other Spider-Man.
He's 17, man. Like,
yeah.
Come on, he's a kid.
Well, and, we're hearing Miles kind of take it to heart based off his reaction, but there is not much time to react as we head into Mrs. Morales' office.
Okay. Bye-bye. Miles.
Hey, Ma.
Ven, siéntate. I just wanted to check in. See how you're doing. ¿Todo bien?
Fine. Everything's good. It's just a lot right now. So much to take care of in the city. Super stressed about my college essay. Pete's busy doing other stuff. And Lee. Lee's still out there. Doesn't that bother you?
Of course it bothers me. But I'm committed to making this community better. I've got to let go of things that don't serve me and focus on where I want to go, not where I've been. ¿Entiendes lo que te digo?
Yeah. But Lee? I can't just let him go.
We hear Miles' mom express her concern for Miles. Remember, she did see Miles' laptop in his room with Lee's picture on it when he was supposed to be working on his college essay, which, I mean, she's following her intuition as a mother right now and getting this moment to talk to Miles, which is pretty heartwarming to see. And even in this exchange, we hear her talk about how she has to move on in order to move forward and not kind of live on everything else that happened, especially with her husband. And Miles, his reaction on his face is like he can't understand what she's talking about, especially when it comes to Lee. So there's a disconnect there, I think, for Miles when usually, you know, his mom and him are on the same page. And I think that's because no one really can help Miles through this. It's something he kind of has to help himself through because he's so caught up in these emotions with Lee.
I think his mother has moved on and has made peace with Jefferson Davis's death. And this goes to show that Miles has not. And I think that is why Lee is so prominent in how much he focuses on Lee, is because I think he is the gateway to Miles moving on, in his head at least. Maybe if he doesn't think so, but I think he can't move on until he knows that Lee has been dealt with.
Yeah, definitely. But, you know, and I think he's using his spider duties as a distraction from facing those emotions as well, which is why he's so caught up in that. And you know what? There's more distractions to come as his mom, Miles' mom, gets a call that something's going down at the Harlem Cultural Center as the staff are locked out and they're actually at risk as, you know, as of losing their donor for the museum and then and shutting down if they don't go through with like getting this tour for the donor. So Miles ends up going there. When we get to the building, we end up hacking through the electrical box, and then we get in through the vent to find out that some of the relays are actually all like broken. So we use our spider bot to go through the vents and reconnect the relays to find out there's actually a robbery in progress at the Harlem Cultural Center. And that's why the staff are locked out, because the robbers pretty much shut down the system, the security system, so they couldn't get in. There's a really cool section here where you have to kind of go through the whole museum as Spider-Bot. You have to like jump on different boxes. There's some instruments you have to jump on as well. You got to dodge some of the henchmen. I really liked, there was like a xylophone that you had to like go across, and you could like play the xylophone you know, as you're hitting it.
I would say this is like Spider-Bot is top tier entertainment for me. In playing this game through, when you get to be the Spider-Bot, I think they've improved on everything else from the first game, and Spider-Bot is so much fun to play with, especially like hiding from enemies, you know, what is it, like destroying electrical sockets, or in this case I think it was like patching them up.
The relays. Yeah, the relays, I think they got EMP'd out from the robbers, and then it like made the circuit break. So we were
use the spider webs, right?
We were using the spider webs to run the electrical again.
But yeah, it's just so much fun using the Spider-Bot. I thoroughly enjoy this kind of mission, even though maybe some people won't.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this as well. And I don't think it's for everyone, but it's definitely for me. One thing to note in this part of this mission is Genki actually calls and lets Miles know that there's no sign of Martin Lee. And we hear Miles say that he regrets letting Lee go. And Genki's like, wait, what do you mean what do you mean you regret letting him go? And Miles says like he could have done something so Lee couldn't hurt anyone else. And I think he's referring to like pretty much putting Lee out of his misery, killing him.
He wants to kill Lee. I'm 100% certain of it.
Well, I don't think he wants, see, that's the thing. I don't think he wants to kill Lee. I think there's like that emotion. Well, I think it's like when you're face to face with someone who brought you that much hurt and there's so much trauma around it.
Yeah.
Your mind probably does go in that instance to killing, but I don't think he's searching for Lee to kill him. I think he's honestly searching for Lee to lock him back up. But if he would do that when he meets Lee again, I don't know, because he also has these underlying emotions that may push him to kill Lee.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely crossed his mind. And he's like, I'll deal with him when I deal with him, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Staying.
Nick's like, that's wanting to kill Lee. What you explained is wanting to kill Lee. Well, anyways, we end up patching all the relays, and it's time for Miles to swoop in and take over for Spider-Bot, take out some enemies, and we find out that they're pretty much stealing these things to deliver them somewhere. So we have to actually stop their truck that escapes from the crime scene. I do love these little truck or car speed chases as well, because you have to dodge some of the like pylons or like little barricades that are in the streets, which is kind of fun as well. But after doing that, we end up retrieving some of the instruments and the funky drummer back as well.
They only recovered items from one truck? What a mess. Sorry, Angela. This is a deal breaker. No.
There goes our best hope for a big donor.
There's still the fundraising gala.
If we don't find that second truck, there is no exhibit. Without an exhibit, there is no gala. Without a gala, the museum will have to close.
That won't happen. I promise. Here.
This belonged to Clyde Stubblefield. Ooh, the original funky drummer. Do you know how often his rhythms were sampled? He was so influential, a direct line from funk to hip-hop. Thank you.
And don't worry, I'll find the rest of those items.
Thank you.
I should check in with Pete.
Hey, bro, you have a sec?
Of course. Actually, Harry's calling. I have to take this. Catch up later?
Oh, sure, man. Later.
Hey, Pete. I'm at EMF. No sign of Doc Connors yet, but I could use an extra set of eyes.
On my way. Have you heard anything from MJ? You said she's stopping by his house, right?
Nothing yet. She told me she'd call when she got there.
Let's hope he's just taking a sick day.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna check her office. Just come by when you can.
Again, Pete hangs up on Miles for Harry. I'm like, honestly, being like, if I was Genki, I would just intercept Miles anytime he's trying to dial out to Pete at this moment, because I'm pretty sure Genki is super smart. He created this whole system where they could communicate back and forth to each other. He probably is listening in on these combos, and it would probably be really hurt to hear his friend being treated like this.
If I heard the way someone, like if Miles talked to me that way after I said I gotta go, and he's like, sure, man, I would 100% know that I was being a dick.
Yeah.
So, Pete, man, and then again, he answers the phone like right away.
Yeah.
I get it that this is your best friend, but again, you got a 17-year-old that you're mentoring, and he's very impressionable, and he looks up to you, and you are just brushing him off time after time. Buddy, get it together. In this game so far, I am not a fan of Pete. This is why I play as Miles more often, because I'm annoyed of this guy.
Ugh. Pete, do better. Do better, Pete. Well, you know what? We actually finally meet up with Harry, and Pete ends up getting a call from MJ, who we know was looking for Dr. Connors at his house. Well, she ended up going to his house, and it was swarmed by a bunch of hunters, but that didn't stop her from getting the intel, because she ends up going in the back of the truck and like working on their computer to find out that their lair is at this abandoned zoo. Unfortunate for her, well, the henchmen decide to leave just as she's in the truck. She ends up getting locked in there without her phone, that her phone falls out of the truck, which, I mean, that sucks. And she ends up finding her way at the zoo with her trusty saber taser, as I like to call it. So we have this bit of MJ gameplay where she has her taser and her training skills that she took with Saber. As we know, they were in the previous game. And we got to go through this abandoned zoo hoping to find Dr. Connors, and no way to contact Peter or anyone else.
No!
Why?
I was hoping to avoid MJ missions, because in the first game they were really bad.
They were not really bad.
They were boring, and all you had to do was stealth.
Well, you were taking photos and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, I will say, I initially groaned at the idea, because I'm like, I don't want to do this again. The gameplay, they definitely made it a lot smoother, a lot easier. And MJ's pretty badass in this, I gotta say, especially against these hunters. The stealth is easier to maneuver. The fighting tactics from MJ and everything else, yeah, I actually enjoyed this one this time. So initially didn't like it, but as I went through it, I was like, okay, I could do this. This is good. I like the way they headed with this one.
Well, I'm happy you didn't turn off your PS5 because the game doesn't end there. Okay, Nick, because yes, we have to maneuver as MJ through the zoo, tasering enemies and throwing rocks as distractions. And really it forces you to go stealth if you're not a stealth player. So I could see where maybe for those types of players, it may not be what they're looking for or something that they may not look forward to. But like you said, I actually really enjoyed how they improved on the MJ gameplay, and she puts her saber training to the test and does a good job. When exploring, we actually find out that Vulture is dead.
Yep.
That Craven actually killed Vulture. Rip.
Or did he just die of old age? Yeah,
what?
That's still debatable. Yeah. I mean, he was like 117.
I know, but still, Craven killed him, all right? Whether old age had a factor of his slowness or anything like that, then that's, his mobility, whatever, and gave Craven an upper hand. Again, Craven, like, why are you going after these villains if you think, it's for the hunt? Challenge yourself more. But it is unfortunate that Vulture's dead. We also find Dr. Connor's phone. thinking we could call back Harry, or pick up Harry's call because Harry's trying to call Dr. Connors to find him. And no luck. The phone dies. Just the worst luck for MJ. So we have to continue to look for Dr. Connors, and we actually locate where he is being held, but we need a key and an enclosure code. So that sends us on our other mission as well. What were you laughing at?
I was laughing at how long this mission is. I'm like, you have to go to one side to get the key and then the other side to get the code.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah, they're on two opposite sides. So it doesn't matter which one you do first. You just have to find your way at both. And I think I did the code first. Yeah, I did the code first. But there's little things you can interact with, which I didn't even know. But going through Chris's gameplay, you could actually interact with a computer to make a drone malfunction.
I did not do that.
I did not do that either. You could use that as a distraction for one of the hunters, which is pretty cool. Had no clue at all. Yeah. But as you continue to move through to find the code, you actually learn that Shocker is also dead at the hands of Craven. So I like how we're uncovered. Well, I don't like that they're all dying.
The way you said it was like, Shocker, something happened. And then I realized it was actually Shocker.
No, the Shocker.
The Shocker.
Yeah. Shocker. But I kind of, although it's really sad, I enjoy how we're uncovering these the fates of some of these villains, rather than having to like have a side mission that explains it all. Because I was kind of worried at the beginning of the game. We're like, oh, okay, we're following Scorpion. And then it's like, ooh, we're going to have to like do this for all the villains that are missing. Like, I don't want it to be that predictable, but I like how we're uncovering it this way. And the story still is continuing and keeping us interested.
Yeah.
For the one of the henchmen, though, as you're getting the code for the enclosure, MJ has to put her Symkarian to the test because they are Symkarian. Or the guard. I guess they all are Symkarian.
Yeah.
And she has to pose as one of the henchmen over radio. So you have to like get some intel from the room, and then she puts her Symkarian to the test. And I just love that they took that vacation is really paying off. It's not just for the memories, it's also for the skills that MJ gained after that.
Listen, this is almost a parody. At many points during this, although I enjoyed the MJ gameplay, seems very unrealistic that these are like the top hunters in the world, led by Craven, who is so bloodthirsty that he's killing all of these villains. And it seems like MJ can literally get through all of his goons, and on top of that, the old fake like it goes back to Star Wars, I guess, where it's like, I have the code and let me get like information off you.
Yeah.
And then I think the guy even says like, oh, you don't sound like yourself. And she's like, oh, it's a cold or something like that. It's like, this is cartoonish.
But
and these
I
are supposed
like
to be
that.
top tier. I do too, but realistically, these are supposed to be the world's scariest hunters.
Realistically, this wouldn't happen, but it adds that little break of comedy because there are these cliches from like, horror movies with her dropping her phone or the battery dying, or like these quick exchanges between henchmen and, super or allies, right? MJ. Yeah. So I do like the cheesiness of it, especially if you're a superhero fan. I feel like you're able to like call it out for like these cliches. But it just makes me love these moments a little bit more because it is hilarious, especially that exchange between her and the henchman over the radio. But after doing that, after you get the code, the key is pretty easy to find. You just have to find the marker, the henchman that's carrying it, and the marker leads you to that. And then when you do, you'll figure out that the Lion's Den area is close to the closure that Dr. Connors is being held in. So we finally find our way there.
Wait. You know this beast.
His name is Kurt Connors. He's a good man.
There are no good men. Only good prey.
Sorry we're late. Are you two all right?
Better now.
There's a lab in the atrium. Might have a serum. I don't have much time.
So Craven shows up, and that theme just gives me the chills. It's such a good theme. And he stabs Dr. Connors with, I guess, what would change him into the lizard. So he's visibly starting to, well, not yet, but like, I guess he's starting to like feel the effects of becoming lizard, and he's visibly hurt and in pain from it all, which I never really thought about that. It's probably really painful to like become be a human and then become a lizard that's so ginormous.
I like when they have the transformations like that where it makes it seems like it's very painful. So
Yeah.
Yes.
That's realistic.
Yes.
That is realistic.
Yeah.
But and like MJ also looks very scared. Like when you see MJ compared to Craven, like the size difference between the two of them, Craven, like, because I think like when we were Spider-Man and you're seeing Craven, like in these, how we saw him before, you don't really realize how big Craven is. Like in how
Hulk almost.
he looks like the Hulk. Like it is insane.
Is he like 8 feet tall?
I have no idea. But I would be scared too if I was MJ, but she still picked up the taser and tried to hit him.
Yeah,
but it didn't work, obviously. And here, thankfully, Peter and Harry show up to help clear a path for MJ to help Dr. Connors get to where the antidote will be in the lab. That's also at the zoo. There's so much things at the zoo. This is not your typical trip to the zoo.
No, it's not, but it's closed down for a reason, probably.
It's abandoned for a reason, yeah, definitely. There's so many enemies though that are here. You have the robot animals, the drones, you have like all the different type of like henchmen.
Yep.
There was a lot going on, I'm not gonna lie.
This was action packed.
I was so stressed out.
Were you?
This
was a lot of fun.
It wasn't like difficult, but like I think I'm getting a little bit of anxiety with this game on like how many enemies and like the different variations of enemies that you have to deal with. And then I was like, oh man, you can't hurt MJ and Dr. Connors. But I do like how you see them kind of maneuvering around you to get to where they got to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I don't know. Everything about this game, every minute detail is pretty incredible.
It is pretty incredible. And what's incredible is, well, guess what? Dr. Connors reaches the antidote. And just as he's about to take it, well, Craven shows up.
This, I can use this to make an antidote.
He's here.
I'm sorry. MJ! No!
Not as venomous as they say.
get you out of here.
This feels not great.
Just think, this'll definitely be your coolest scar.
Yeah. MJ, I don't think... Am I breathing?
So Spider-Man gets stabbed trying to save MJ from Kraven. And he's in bad shape, like really bad. This is like, I can't, the words, I can't even, like, I'm going through the emotions I felt as I was playing this, because you have this moment, you see Connors try to take the antidote. Kraven shows up that transforms Lizard. Firstly, it was heartbreaking to hear Dr. Connors tell MJ sorry, because he's changing and he won't be able to control himself, which means he was anticipating he's probably going to attack MJ, right? And so he's fully reformed. But I was not expecting Pete to get stabbed by Kraven. And I think, it's not MJ's fault. But I think because he was distracted with trying to save MJ is why he slipped up a bit and got stabbed by Kraven.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming at all. And I was shook by it. I feel like we're still pretty early on in the game. And this is really the first encounters that they have with Kraven. And right off the bat, I guess this shows how powerful Kraven is. I think that's what they wanted to convey.
Yeah,
that,
definitely.
You can't take this guy lightly because Peter got stabbed. And
He got
I was shook. This is definitely, again, Insomniac is really tugging at us here.
Yeah, and we see Harry visibly upset when he realizes what happens, and he just like kicks Kraven. Like he just is fighting Kraven in the background as MJ tries to help Peter walk to a safety. I don't even know what to do, but you're hearing Peter say a few things, like he's talking about, am I breathing? Like this was such a like Spider-Man, like Mr. Stark, I don't feel good type of moment.
Don't do that.
It was though, like that's how I felt while watching this. And it's like you hear like these moments from Peter where he's just like you could tell he's not here, and this is acted out so well where it, even though it's a brief moment before we get into the next part, it feels like forever because he's walking slow, but then how the dialogue is going between them, and it's so unexpected. Like we're in shock that this happened as we're going through it. But you know what? It keeps going.
Hang on. Come on. Get up. Harry!
Pete?
Please stay with us.
Come on. Pete, come on, this is nothing. Remember in 5th grade when you... No, you gotta stay awake, buddy.
Pete!
No! What happened? I don't know.
Peter dies. Like we hear Peter dies? Like, what is this roller coaster of emotions that Insomniac is putting us on? Okay, I had to go live through this like walk of death with Peter and MJ, and then like Peter talking about how he regrets not spending more time with MJ, and then he dies, seeing his closest friends next to him, saying good, like witnessing his death. Like, he just dies. Like, it's not, oh my. And then we see Harry's suit then start to move around Peter and then engulf Peter, and it brings him back to life. Like, what is this game doing with my emotions? I actually did pause the game because I'm like, what just happened?
There was a point where I did actually think Peter was dead, like for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And I thought, are they doing this? And then a long thought in my head thought, okay, maybe Harry's going to be taking over as Spider-Man. And if they did that, would have been nuts.
I wouldn't have liked it.
I know we saw the trailers and everything.
Yeah.
So I assumed that Peter was alive. However, they almost got me. They almost got me. Yeah.
Well, they definitely got my heartstrings because I was like in tears. And then also in this moment of great power, because when Peter springs back and he's like, MJ, get Harry out of here. Because obviously we know that suit is what makes Harry feel healthy. So Harry is not looking that good right now. So when Peter comes back from that, the power that I felt in my hands as we play as this new Peter in the iconic black suit, if you're a Spider-Man fan that you know of, is just like otherworldly. Like, props to Insomniac for like it's making us feel this way. It's about the fog that kind of takes over the screen that like has like the like vines from the suit that show up. It's about Peter's voice changing a little bit when he's like, oh, I feel great, right? And it just makes you feel like you're not Spider-Man, but you're something else.
Yeah, they did an incredible job of just, again, the baseline. We just see it and feel it for the first time, but you already tell that you are way stronger, and the game prompts you to notice that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just immediately.
What a roller coaster of emotion.
I know,
dead.
right?
He's alive. He's super powerful. What's going on? What's happening to Harry? Is Harry dead now? What's going on? I don't know. We got to talk about that too, by the way.
We got to talk about a lot of things, but yeah, it's just incredible. We have a lot of hunters that we have to deal with because, of course, Kraven is knocked out thanks to Harry before. But we see this just incredible display of power from Peter in this new black suit. But that's not quite the end of this chapter. Even though he does take out all the enemies, there's a little bit more, which we're going to break down after this break.
What are you? Track the lizard. The spider is mine.
Stop hovering. I'm fine. Maybe some water. Water. On it.
So, the suit cured your...
Yeah.
Which means without it, you...
Yeah. Okay. We gotta figure out how to get this back onto Harry. How did you give it to me? I don't know. It just sort of happened. Okay. Let me try.
There's something in your...
What? Okay, not what I... What the...
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Let me try it again.
That knife was still in Peter, firstly.
Yeah.
Which is pretty... It's like, he was fighting so powerful in that last bit of the scene with that knife still in his torso. That just shows you the strength, I guess, that the suit really does give whoever is wearing it.
Yeah.
But we see now that Harry's obviously a bit concerned with his health because the suit is what cured his disease. And I wouldn't even say cured his disease. It just kind of made him feel good because his disease is still there when the suit's off, right? So now the whole thing is like, how do we get this suit back onto Harry, which they're all going to figure out, but they need the help of Dr. Connors because Dr. Connors is the one that created the suit for Harry. So what do they got to do? Well, they got to find the lizard and get him the antidote that was around Craven's neck. And MJ plans on doing that with the blade that we heard fall out of Peter's torso. And hopefully that will track Craven down. But let's backtrack a little bit because speaking of Craven, he was watching everything that was going on when Peter, I guess, died. Oh my gosh, Peter died. He died. And then came back with the help of the suit. And now it looks like he has his sights on Spider-Man now because remember, he got knocked out with this suit when it was on Harry. And now he's seeing how the power of that suit has enhanced Spider-Man so much. Yeah. So I'm kind of worried for Peter here because Craven's not someone you want to mess around with.
Oh, so you're not worried about Harry
now
having an incurable disease? Okay.
Yes.
Well,
absolutely.
Would you have rather Harry died or Peter died, right? And I think we don't want to say out.
No, you don't. That's like picking your favorite, like a parent picking their favorite kid.
What are you talking about? I'd pick Peter to live any day of the week.
I get it, but you don't say it.
And then what we know about Harry, like in the comics and stuff, they have a rocky relationship too. So if it's got to be one or the other, I'm picking the superhero. Sorry.
Well, maybe there's a way where it doesn't have to be one or the other because I guess like when the suit started to come off of Peter is how we saw that blade was still in his torso, but it fell out. So maybe him wearing the suit just a little bit longer would heal that and then it could go back on Harry,
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, well, I hope it does. But that is the end of this chapter. There was so much that went on, but I want to talk to you about a few things, if that's okay, Mr. Nick Andrade.
Of course.
Let's talk about, Harry, what he's going through, because he does have that roller coaster of he had these newfound powers. He was going to become a superhero alongside his Spider-Man friend. They would be Spider pals. And now all of that is gone. And he, even though he was really shocked in the moment and obviously hurting when Peter died, he doesn't seem too concerned about how Peter feels after he just died.
No, I'm going to stop you there. Okay.
What?
Because I think the whole reason the symbiote went to Peter after he died was Harry, I guess, in his head wishing like, what can I do to help?
Oh yeah. I don't think there's a question of like why the suit went over there. There was something emotionally that made the symbiote go over there. But, or I'll talk more about that maybe in a later episode. But, I think like the aftermath of it all, like there's probably a lot going in Harry's mind and you still don't know like how Peter would feel after having the suit. Like, is it the same reaction that Harry felt, right? I know Peter showed that display of power, but is he truly okay? Like, I would still, even if I'm dying, I would still be concerned for my friend after they died.
Even
like,
if you were dying?
Yeah, I think I'd be
and
like,
your friend is alive?
I'm on the path of death. I'm not dead yet. My friend died and came back. Like, wouldn't Harry be concerned? Like, what if the suit comes off? Would Peter die?
No, I I think it's totally valid. Him being concerned, he's like, oh crap, now I don't have what heals me. I'm a goner.
That's fair. But he could just show a little bit of concern for Peter. A little bit. Just a little bit. Whatever.
I don't. You know what? I disagree with you on this one.
Just a little bit of concern. A little bit of like.
Selfishness is okay in this.
There is not one moment where Harry's just like, wait, if we take the suit off you, Peter, will you be okay? Like, nope. No concern. I don't know. Anyways,
I think that's
I don't know. I don't know. He died. How do you know the suit if it doesn't come off of him? Like if it comes off him, he won't turn into a corpse. Like how do you know? You don't know.
That is true. Like what if the suit comes off of him and then the stab wound rematerializes? Yeah. We don't really know the full effects of this power.
We don't know.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. Like Harry, it didn't cure his disease. He's not just better out of the suit. He still relies on the suit. So I'm sorry, Harry.
Actually, yeah. Why didn't the disease? Concern. Sorry. Why didn't the disease? Like, why didn't he get cured fully from the disease? It only stops it.
That's what I'm saying. It's a temporary fix, which is why he should be a little concerned about Peter.
All right. Okay.
Peter died. Okay. Anyways,
I get it. You're right.
Now the black suit has many iconic moments in the different mediums of Spider-Man. You know, obviously Tobey Maguire, we saw how it could definitely make him dance as Spider-Man. But for this iteration, Spidey, our Peter in Spider-Man 2, getting the black suit, man, they did it so well. Like, I feel like they did real justice to this moment because we know Venom's somehow going to make an appearance in this game based off of everything we saw, the trailers before it. And I think we're heavily anticipating that moment. And this part is a huge part of that moment. So it's like, they did this so well and in the feel of like, because it's like, that's the thing too. Like, Venom could be played so, like, if you play, or like the black suit, could feel so much like how Spider-Man already feels, right? So I really do like just appreciate how Insomniac used like the sound even of the game, how it changes, Peter's voice, how it changes, the screen itself, how it darkens a bit, and like just how the controls, like Peter feels a little bit heavier. He's not even as agile as he is without the black suit. They did this so well.
Yeah, you don't even need to be agile when you're so strong. Yeah. It's almost like it's a face puncher's dream. Like anyone who likes playing video games and being like
a button masher or something like that. Yeah.
Not worrying about, you know, jumping and dodging. You literally could just do whatever you want with this suit on, especially when you press down L3, R3.
Yeah.
And you get that superpower. You can literally just mow down anybody you want. It's the best.
And mow down all the hunters we did. Like it was so fulfilling in this, but this is just the start. As I said, we are highly anticipating the appearance of Venom. Who will be Venom? We still don't know, but things are getting a lot more interesting here on Spider-Man 2. And you know, we're going to be along with the ride, or we're going to be along for the ride as we continue our gameplay on the next AutoSave. AutoSave is produced and hosted by Nick Andrade and myself, Camille Salazar-Hadaway. The show is also produced by Dylan Wilson. Gameplay and additional elements provided by Chris Zeiser. Executive producer, Clayton Hansler. You can follow the show at AutoSave Podcast on Twitter and AutoSave Pod on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. You can subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it right now. And if it happens to be Apple Podcasts, kindly leave us a rating and a review, but only if it's good. AutoSave is a Soda original hosted on the Soda Podcast Network.